What's up, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of the Fancast Live podcast. We are live on YouTube and X tonight. Joining me is my boy Jamie Hollywood Barrett. We're going to be talking some New York Rangers hockey tonight. Lots to talk about, Jamie.
Oh, yeah.
We spoke, a little more than 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about, the possibilities of making some deals at the trade deadline, and the Rangers went out and did just that. It might not have been the big name players that we were expecting, obviously, but we got some players to come in here and help this team out. We are playing some really good hockey, 17-4-1 since the All-Star break. The Rangers have regained the points lead in the league at 98 points. They're tied, I think, right now with the Vancouver Canucks, but we lead the league with 47 wins. This is a New York Rangers team that, quite honestly, I never thought they would be able to sustain this kind of competitiveness. And now with their three of their top six defensemen out, next man up mentality, these guys are coming in, they're stepping in, and they're doing their job. And the Rangers continue to win games, although, we've got Carolina knocking on the door. They're a point behind us because they won last night against the Toronto Maple Leafs in a 2-1 game. It was a game that went till the end. Toronto I made it close, but not close enough. It was a little too late. But we've got a team that's tremendously good. We've got some tremendously good players, some that are not as good as they were last year. I'm speaking about Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider. But how can we not start the show by not talking about Panarin? Because, quite honestly, he's been the best player. This is the same player I think that a lot of New York Rangers fans wanted shipped out after last year's first-round series loss to the Devils. And me and you, spoke on message, and we were like, "What the hell is going on here? Why do you Ranger fans want this guy out?" And here he is, 99 points. He is well over the 40 goal mark on the season, and he continues to dominate night in and night out. Whenever you need him to score, he is scoring. Vincent Trocheck is another guy that, is having a tremendously good season. What are you seeing from these New York Rangers so far, so deep into the season, and what can you see coming up in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever left is in the season?
Yeah, man, great to be on again. It's funny you mentioned Panarin and Trocheck. It seems like you know them pretty well now. We'll get into that. We'll touch into that a little bit later. Got a little surprise for you guys, but we did speak a few weeks ago, and we put hypothetical scenarios. What's Drury going to do? Is he going to let go of Capo Caco in a first-round pick? Are we going after Gensel? Are we going after Buchnevich? Are we, trying to get a big name wing? And we discussed, is a big name wing going to be a good idea? Does that always didn't work last year with some of the big names? But, we got to go back a few weeks before, and we bring in Alex Wenberg, and he's been a very solid third line center. Played very consistently so far. He's chipped in with a couple goals, couple of assists here and there. But what he's doing is playing great defense. You needed a third line center really bad with Hedel out. So Wenberg has done the job. He's done it very well. And he's not a guy that needs a ton of ice time to be effective. He goes out there and does his job, and he allows the big guns to go out there and not have to worry all the time about, doing everything else. So really love the pickup of Wenberg. And then Roslovic is a great pickup. I mean, he was a name that I'm pretty familiar with when he was in Columbus, and he came over in the Patrick Laine trade. He's got quick hands, quick skill, and he darts in and out really fast in the offensive zone. So I love Roslovic and what he can provide on that line. I think he's like a really good piece to that line. A little bit more of a veteran than Kakko. Gets to the net a little bit more. Can shoot the puck a little bit more as well. So really like the additions that, Drury has made. And we didn't have to really mortgage any of the future. We didn't have to get rid of Brendan Othman. We didn't have to get rid of a first-round pick. We still kept Kakko. And if you've noticed, Capo Caco has actually played better on the third line. He's more of a scoring option on that line. He's got a couple goals. He's not afraid to take the puck to the net and kind of carry it. He doesn't feel the pressure of being on the first line. I think that pressure really got to him. So he's in a checking role. He's holding the puck onto the wall. He's playing great two-way hockey, and that's why the Rangers, the last couple of weeks have been, not letting teams score that much. They had a couple of, games against Tampa and a few others maybe that they could have played a little better. But listen, all in all, you got to be happy with the Rangers. I mean, they're right up in the top of the league in the standings, and we're doing this playing a ton of games the last week or two. I mean, I think it was like 7 games in 10 days, and they did that back-to-back, a ton of hockey after that mini bye week that we talked about as well. So the Rangers are finding ways to win, whether it's offensively coming from behind, defensively just stifling the teams to maybe one goal, like a 1-0 game or a 2-1 game. Shesterkin's been playing better. Quick has dipped a little bit, but he's still been okay. The penalty kill, power play is both in the top 7, I believe, in the league. I think Laviolette's made a lot of great moves. I think bringing in Rempe was great, but he's not overplaying him. He's putting in Brzezinski and Cooley and VC. He's rotating guys in so they're all fresh. So there's just a lot of things to really like about this team. And even with that being said, as good as we've been, as dominant as we've been since the All-Star break, we're only 1 point up. It's almost unbelievable. So I'll let you go after this point. We talked about how talented the Metro Division was going to be this year. Really hasn't been. It's been us and Carolina, and really nobody else. Like Philly is barely in. Devils are way out. The Washington Capitals are rebuilding, and they're knocking at the door. So we thought this Metro Division was going to be a gauntlet. It's really just us and Carolina. It just so happens that Carolina is literally on our heels right now. And it's like it's almost like we can't even play any better with Trouba, Lindgren, and now Gustafsson out, and we're still only 1 point ahead. So that's the only thing that's kind of like, man, the way that we're playing, you figure we should have had this wrapped up already. Not the case.
Yeah, well said, dude. Well, the Rangers earned their 25th home victory Saturday night against the Panthers. It was a shootout win, but either which way, it was still 2 points that the Rangers really needed. They had gotten another 2 points from the Boston Bruins a couple of nights before that. You remember me and you were texting back and forth, and I was talking to you about how I was really scared about the next 2 games, again, specifically against the Boston Bruins and the Florida Panthers. I didn't think we were going to win either one of those games, being that we were short on defense. But quite honestly, I've been very impressed with Zach Jones and Ruido, who have come in and replaced the captain Trouba and Lindgren.
Yeah.
And now with Gustafsson out, I think they're calling up Scanlon from the AHL from Hartford. Yep. He's going to be in a lineup tomorrow against the Philadelphia Flyers. From what I'm hearing, he was probably their best defenseman at the AHL level. And I'm pretty excited in seeing what he's got to offer here at the NHL level. But this is a team that has been very resilient all season long, regardless of whatever has been going on. We've seen a lot of injuries this year. There have been a lot of players that have been in and out of the lineup. Lindgren has been in and out of the lineup a lot this year. Trouba being out the last 2-3 weeks. Gustafsson now, who knows? I think he's day to day. He might be out a little longer than that. I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. I haven't really gotten any news on that. But to think about the number of wins that the Rangers have had, most recently against teams like Boston and Florida, who are top notch in the NHL in the Eastern Conference, to go out and beat these two teams, 5-2 against Boston, and then a shootout win 4-3 against Florida, with the thin defense that the Rangers sent out there, I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed. The Rangers have earned what? This was their 4th, I think. Come from behind win down by 2 goals. I think it was 4 times this year they've done it. That's remarkable. We've seen the Rangers do this on many occasions, and I got the stat here too. How many times they've come back in games? Let's see here. Where the hell did I write it? This marked the 10th time the Rangers have come back when trailing going into the third period. So the Rangers, that just goes to show you, and it tells you a lot about these New York Rangers, that they're relentless. They'll go trailing after one, trailing after two, and trailing even after 2.5 periods, and it's not written in stone that they're going to lose that game. There is a good chance that they may come back and win that game, and they've shown it to us on many occasions this year. And I like that resiliency that the Rangers have shown, especially against those top teams in the Eastern Conference or even in the Western Conference. They've been very, very good, and I'm pretty excited about what we're going to see in the last 12 games that are left in the season.
Yeah,
I really want the Rangers to get that one seed. A lot of people are looking to avoid the Tampa Bay Lightning after that whooping that they gave us a week or so ago. But quite honestly, it was one game. It doesn't tell the whole story. I think the Rangers played Tampa Bay pretty good this year.
Yeah,
I think they had taken. Exactly. They took the first 2 games in the series this year, and they lost the third. They weren't going to win all 3, although we did sweep the Boston Bruins, though.
That's pretty good. Yep.
Yeah.
Man, it's been an impressive run for us. It really has. The resilience you're talking about. I think what really surprised me was, Florida, when they went up 2-0 on us. I didn't know. I mean, I'm a very optimist Ranger fan. I've been a fan of this team a long time, but I don't know. I mean, when Winnipeg got ahead of us, we really couldn't find our game. And we've played so many games. An emotional, really had to grind it out against Boston, a very physical team. Artemi Panarin carried us through that game. He made some finishing plays where, other players can't make those plays. And I think what really happened in that Florida game, just the momentum able to turn, Artemi Panarin making play after play, Adam Fox. We got to touch on Adam Fox real quick. One of the best top 5 defensemen in the NHL. Panarin is a top 10 player in the NHL. He may be like the 8th, maybe 7 and 8 of the best player in the league totally. And you have Shesterkin, who's like a top 3-4 goalie, and he's creeping up in the save percentage ranking. So the Rangers have some superstars, and then we also got some stars. Kreider's a star, Zibanejad's a star. You could argue that Trocheck has played like a star this year. And then on defense, we've gotten really good contributions, I think. Not at the star level, but how good has Braden Schneider been? I mean, he's playing a ton of minutes. He was on the last pair for a while when he was with Gustafsson, and now he's getting 20 minutes a night at least. He's playing all game. I mean, him and Miller are out there. That's the best pair that we have right now defensively is Miller and Schneider. So Schneider's really, opening up a lot of eyes as well. He's contributing. He got help get the goal in Boston, went up the wall, was able to create space, and kind of threw it to Panarin. Panarin was able to corral it and score. So Schneider's getting in on the offense as well, gaining confidence. And it helps when you have confident goaltending. It seems like, Shesterkin, especially in the Florida game, he settled down, after the first period. I don't think the goals were his fault, but he didn't get down on himself. It seems like he's much more confident. I think since the All-Star break, getting his ego going a little bit, I think that really helped him out. He's been great in the shootout. I mean, how many times has he shut the door? That big save against Tarasenko, who's a premier scorer in this league. So, the Rangers are, the one thing that I would bring up is we got to try and stay healthy. I want that one seed as bad as you, but I'm not. I mean, we're taking some hits here, and what we can't afford to do is bring back Trouba a week too soon, or bring back Gustafsson or a Lindgren, who's always in and out. I mean, he's always just a warrior. There's going to be games where we may have to rest Panarin or give Zibanejad a break if we can wrap up the division. So, I think we have to be a little bit careful on the day-to-day maintenance of our star players. We want to go in healthy. And I'll touch on something that some of the people, the fans might think. I mean, if we're being honest, now the 1 seed and the President's Trophy is great. First of all, the President's Trophy is a curse. People that win the President's Trophy don't do well. Tampa Bay, they got swept by Columbus in 4 games. Boston won it last year, lost. Like they teams with the President's Trophy, there's a lot of that pressure. So the number 1 seed, it's great to win this division, but it's really just us and Carolina. And I'm telling you, there's a dramatic difference. Tampa Bay is a winning pedigree team. They have a Hall of Fame coach. They got Hall of Famers, Hedman, Stamkos, Kucherov, Point. They're down Sergachev, obviously, which is a big loss for them. But they got a loaded roster of winners that know what it takes to get there. Now, I don't think they have the depth that we have. I think they're a little bit older, and maybe these playoff runs are running their course. But they're a dangerous team. And they're hot right now. And they have one of the best goalies in hockey. So, and then you look at the Flyers, they're just not as good. I mean, the Flyers are not that good of a team. I mean, the Flyers are 9 games over 500. They have a minus, I think, 15, or they have a minus goal differential. They're not ahead of that category. So the Philadelphia Flyers, in reality, are a better matchup for us. So I understand fully the logic of not really. I mean, obviously we don't want to play for second, but if we finish second and we play the Flyers in the first round, I mean, let Carolina and Tampa duke it out. That's going to be a war. I mean, I would rather have the Flyers if I have to actually, you know what I mean? I mean, that's a series that we can get our feet wet, get everybody involved. We should take care of that series pretty easily. Tortorella is a great coach, and he's going to get those guys fired up, and they may win a game, but the Rangers are a superior team. And the only way they can lose that series is if they completely collapse. The Rangers can play really good and have a very tough time against Tampa, and that could hurt us in the next round if we advance. And it's not a guarantee that you beat Tampa. I mean, Tampa's Tampa. They took us out last time. We have 2-1 on the series this year, but. So I'm with you. I love to win the division, but it comes down to matchups, and I have to be honest with you. I would rather have the Flyers.
Yeah, the Flyers are a -8. They
minus are 8 goal differential.
They're 9 games over 500. They're sitting with 81 points. If the playoff picture looks like this right now, if the season were to end today, the Rangers would have the number 1 seed, and they would face off against the Washington Capitals, who are currently the second wildcard team. Tampa Bay has jumped up to number 1. Well, okay. Actually, they were number 1.
That's because we have a bet. We have more points than the Central Division winner, is what you're saying, which is Boston or Florida. Okay.
Well, yeah, Florida, Boston, and Carolina all sit at 97 points. Rangers are at 98. So, I mean, they're all within 1 point of the New York Rangers are taking over the number 1 seed currently. But as of right now, like I said, if the season were to end today, that's who the first round matchup for the Rangers would be. It would be the Washington Capitals, who are the second wildcard team at the current time.
So there's going to be some luck involved, because if you win everything and you're number 1 in the East no matter what, then you have a favorable matchup, whether it's, who Islanders may sneak in, who knows, Capitals in this case. Tampa's that first wild card. So if you're the first seed of the other division, whichever one it is, you want to play Tampa? That's a tough draw, dude.
That
first
would definitely
round,
be
Tampa.
Listen, regardless of who the matchup is going to be, the Rangers still have to do whatever it takes to win that series. It'll probably be a 7-game series, no doubt. I mean, regardless of how good or how bad the Rangers played against the Tampa Bay Lightning this year, because they took 2 out of the 3 games, they swept the season series from the Bruins. So I mean, the Rangers have played very, very well against the elite teams in the Eastern Conference. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I can't see how. I get why a lot of people are scared of a first round matchup against the Tampa Bay Lightning because of that recent loss, but a lot of Rangers fans should go back and look at the prior 2 games before that.
We dominated. We won 5-1 in their building, and they got booed out of there, and we won 3-1 too. So yeah, I'm with you. but there's a drastic difference in talent drop off and experience between Tampa and the other team. So I guess it would be a great test for the Rangers. I think I'm very confident right now. Just how there's so many playoff runs with Tampa, and their defense is just not as deep with Sergachev out. I just don't think that they have the gas to go a long series with the Rangers, but they're going to give us a hard time. And then we're going to have to face, a well-rested Carolina team if they make easy work of Philly. But I have a feeling that Tortorella is going to, get his guys, ready to go and make that a fight. But they just don't have the goaltending or like the elite skill to take the series. Carolina they just play that aggravating system hockey of relentless forechecking and 4 lines deep. And their goal, the only thing that the Rangers have had their number, but not going to make predictions right now, but it's going to be a very interesting playoff for both sides of the Eastern Conference. And that other division's a monster. That Atlantic division, those teams are good. I mean, Boston, Toronto, Florida, Tampa. I mean, that's a tough division right there. Those are good hockey teams.
There's just something about Toronto that I just don't get. They've spent so much money, and they've spent a lot of money, and you and I know that, and a lot of NHL fans know that, but they've never invested in goaltending and defense.
It's unbelievable.
And that's going to be their downfall come playoff time once again this year, because they did not invest their resources in getting a goaltender or getting some good defense.
Right. Well, Klingberg they had on a 1-year deal. I think he's out for the year. They got him from he was on the Stars, then he went to the Ducks. He's a solid top 4 D man. He's got some skill. But and then they lost Jake Muzzin a few years ago. They always seem to get a devastating injury to a defenseman. And then it's this, very high-flying, off-the-rush offense, Matthews, Marner, Nylander. But there's not a lot of grease and sandpaper. I like Bertuzzi and Domi, but your lineup is a little thinner as you get down the lineup. Rangers are more well-balanced. Florida's well-balanced. Bobrovsky's been a great goalie this year. He seems to be back in form. Having a goalie you can rely on is so important. And we really need Shesterkin to continue to collect himself and be firing on all cylinders for the playoffs. Because without him being his typical Igor self, that's going to be a big factor in really how far we do this.
So we spoke about how great of a season Panarin's having.
Unbelievable.
Trocheck, too.
Yeah.
Fox, you name it. Igor's finally turned it around, and I think he's playing with a lot of confidence right now. Jonathan Quick has been tremendously good for the New York Rangers. But there are some players that we really need to point out here, and I think that they really need to step it up between now and the start of the playoff season, because, quite honestly, they really haven't been the same players they were last year, and I'm speaking about Kreider and I'm speaking about Zibanejad. What are you seeing out of these two guys that, they might not be having the same success this year?
Yeah, it's. I think Panarin's shooting a lot more too. I mean, Panarin has almost picked up the slack because last year I don't think he had maybe 30 goals. I mean, he's just been shooting the puck and presenting himself as a shooting option, not just a passing option. And I think Zibanejad was so used to being on that one-time place, just getting a lot of those easy passes. For whatever reason, I think Laviolette has instilled Fox shooting from the point, through traffic. Panarin shooting through the point, getting sticks on the puck. And then, for whatever, Kreider, I think that 52-goal season by Kreider, I think we all knew that was a little bit out of the ordinary. He's still going to get over 30 goals this year and have a solid year.
Well, Kreider's got 33 on the season.
Yeah, he's got 33 goals.
It's not too shabby.
No.
But, I mean, there are times when he's not on the stat sheet as far as goals are concerned, right, like he was, in years past.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, as long as they can turn it on when it counts. I mean, Kreider's always been a playoff performer. Mika, he has had, I would say for his standards, a little bit of a disappointment. But, again, none of that matters. What matters is game one, who we're playing. Let's see what we can do. You're the number one center of, one of the best teams in the league. Let's get after it. Mika is a very streaky player, so it wouldn't surprise me if he puts in 5 goals in 5 games. He's had really crazy streaks. But he hasn't had the year that he's really wanted to have. I think it helps that he finally has like a really good winger in Roslovic who can, kind of work in his game. I know Zibanejad's been a little bit more on the stat sheet, especially since the Islanders game. Not as many assists this year for Zibanejad as we typically see, because Kreider isn't scoring as many goals. So I think that's kind of a direct correlation. If Kreider has 50 goals, Zibanejad's probably got 15 more assists on the ledger, because of that. So Kreider has been a power play scoring option. Zibanejad the same offensively 5-on-5. I think they're playing great defensively, and I think Roslovic is going to help. I think he's made an impact 5-on-5, but it's going to take a little time. So, again, I think this is one of those things where I'd rather have him, be good during the regular season and then just turn it on in the playoffs than have a great regular season and then disappear. So I think Zibanejad is due for a hot streak, and the longer we wait, that means that when it comes, it's going to come at the right time, I think. So that's kind of how I look at it.
Who stood out to you the most I should say the entire season, but mostly the second half of the season? Who stood out for you the most?
Lafreniere is playing with a ton of confidence. He's been a streaky scorer as well. I mean, he started out really hot, had a little bit of a cold streak. He's on the board. He's making a lot of plays. He's not just on the periphery, letting Panarin do everything. It's Lafreniere has had some very impressive finishes this year. Top of the slot one-timers, off the rush, it through traffic, finding the open. I mean, he's burying. He scored some goals recently that are top level, elite level goals. So I can see
these are some of the things that we didn't see from him in the first half of the season, because
we did
in the first half we were seeing him. We were seeing the plays. He just couldn't finish. Right. And now he's finally put it all together, and in the second half of the season, he's done tremendously good at finishing his, with his shots.
Exactly. And he even toward the end of the game, when the Rangers tied a game late, he made a very important pass across the ice. Lafreniere is a very high IQ hockey player that knows where to move the puck. I would love to see him on the power play more, but the Rangers power play, you're not going to mess around with it too much. But I'd love to see that second unit get a little more time, because I think Lafreniere could really quarterback that thing. He's starting to show. Now, is he ever going to live up to number 1 overall, McDavid, Matthews? No, but we don't need him to do that.
He's still only now, 20? How old is he now?
He's
only 24, right?
Yeah, he's still a young player. But for what we have him doing right now, his confidence level is so high. He's not just on the kid line anymore. He is a very important offensive player, and that line is not the same without him.
He's 22, actually.
Yeah, he moves the puck very well laterally, finds the streaking players. He gets to the net. He's got a snipe on him now. He's had some absolute snipes, bar down from top of the circles. So this kid can shoot the puck too. And we're seeing it before our eyes, the confidence. I think he's going to have a great playoff as well. I think he's one of the more important players in our lineup, and I've been very impressed with him second half of the season.
Yeah, I would have definitely chosen Laffy as well. Me and you talk about him so much, between Messenger and Twitter and everything else. But I just love the way this team is playing right now, and even with the three of the top 6 defensemen out. Well, actually, it was 2 up until Gustafsson got hurt the other night. He's going to be out. Who knows how long? I don't think he's going to be out long, but we did get news today that Lindgren is practicing again, so that was pretty good news. So he's ahead of schedule as far as getting back on the ice. No restrictions. That was even better news to even hear that. So
that injury looked really bad.
Yeah, it did. I mean, it looked like he hyperextended. I mean, a
That's
lot of
what it
people
looked
think that
like.
it was a hyperextension. I thought immediately it was ACL, MCL, or something like that because he could not put any weight on it. And
Yeah.
to think about the fact that he got back on the ice today, first practice, so he's way ahead of schedule. That that makes me feel a lot better knowing that he's going to be back before the playoffs start because the Rangers can't go into the postseason missing 3 of their top 6 defensemen.
Yeah.
Regardless
It's
of how good
tough.
or how bad the guys that have replaced them have been.
Yep.
Still, you want those top 6 guys on the ice.
Oh, for sure. Brandon Scanlon. Let's check him out. 6'4".
It's 215 pounds, I think.
Yeah, undrafted.
Yep.
Undrafted.
Yep.
We played at Nebraska Omaha, and this year he's played 57 games for Hartford Wolfpack, 8 goals, 8 assists, +3 rating, 39 penalty minutes. So he looks like a guy that's kind of tough. We'll see. I mean, it's a chance for another player to get an opportunity to make a name for himself. I think a guy that's had a really good year. He's a rotation player now, Will Cooley. I mean, when he's in the lineup, he definitely hits. He makes an impact, and he knows his role. So I think he's a guy that's been very solid for us. If we even go down to the fourth line, I mean, the contributions from Brodzinski this year have been very good. Goodrow's been playing better lately, killing penalties, not asked to do as much. I think VC, when his name is called, he's as solid. He's got skill. Rangers have a good bottom 6 now. I think sliding Kakko down there gives you a little bit of skill upside, and he can sneak a goal by it and keep it along the wall. Wenberg is obviously a big upgrade. You wish Filip Chytil could be a part of this and kind of see where he'd develop. But Wenberg has certainly been a very effective center. The team is well coached. I love how they, it's not just Laviolette. I love Michael Pekka as well as an assistant coach. He's probably going to get a coaching job at some point in the near future. He was a hell of a player when he played. I loved his game. He was nasty and skilled, and he played playoff type of hockey for many years, and he was a captain of his team. So he knows how to lead the room, and it just seems like this team believes in themselves. A lot of unselfishness. There's not a lot of strife in the locker room, and you don't see anybody really caring about. Panarin gets a lot of the stats, but you'd never know it by the way he kind of acts around his teammates. It's a fun team to root for. And now you got Matt Rempe, who, we can make fun of him all we want, and he's a big doof on the ice, but the fans go crazy. I mean, in the Florida game, he made a big impact because after the goal, that line goes out there, 4 checks, the fans are chanting his name. The juice is in the building. I mean, he gets these people fired up. I mean, and he also is a neutralizer. If there's a team that has an enforcer, that's going after people, Rempe's going to be there to step in if we have to. And sometimes you're going to need that, depending on the matchup as well.
So I'm looking at the Rangers schedule for the going down the stretch here. If I can get
take a look. I got it up too. You got a Tortorella revenge game tomorrow at 7. That's a trap game. Trap game. You know why? An extra day off. Maybe these guys went to Brazen Fox looking for chicken wings, and well, I'll just put in a real plug. That
was the best thing that ever happened to me on Saturday night. I swear.
Giancarlo is he's bouncing outside Brazen Fox, cigarette smoke blowing in his face from 15 people, and here comes the well-dressed Artemi Panarin and Vinny Trocheck, looking for chicken wings and lemon pepper wings.
It's just funny how it happened because I'm just standing there chit-chatting with somebody, and sure enough, these 2 gentlemen are walking by, and I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And I was like, and from the corner of my eye, I swear, I noticed the damn mustache, and I'm like,
it was the mustache that did it.
It was the mustache that gave. Yeah, I swear to God. Wow. I turned around, I grabbed the dude by the arm, and I was like, hold on a second, Vincent Trocheck,
unbelievable.
Artemi Panarin. They were like, yep. I was like, oh my God, what the hell are you guys? It was a quarter to 2 in the morning. They were in White
Yep.
Plains because I guess they must have jetted out of the city early, right after the game. They obviously didn't want to stay in the city. They probably just wanted to get their asses home. And
Yeah.
they stopped in White Plains to get something to eat. Unfortunately, all the kitchens and every bar on Mamaroneck Ave are closed. So I
Unbelievable.
kind of felt bad. And then the bartenders obviously were pissed off at the fact that I turned them away. I was like, I didn't turn them away. They wanted
Turn
to
him
go get
away.
something to
You got
eat.
no food.
Yeah, so he was like,
He's
I would have went in the kitchen and cooked something up for him. I was like, yeah, you don't even know how to turn the burners on.
Yeah,
Jesus.
after they left, I would have done it. Yeah, when they were there.
That was great. I got a picture with them. That was really cool. They were really cool
Yeah, that
about
was
it.
super cool.
So it
So
was I think they were impressed more by the fact that I knew who the hell they were, because they probably don't get that a lot. Unless they're around a lot of hockey fans, who's going to know who the hell they are? Unless
yeah.
they know the New York Rangers. It was just great. It was just
So Artemi Panarin, Russian accent, pretty thick.
he barely said two words.
Yeah, it doesn't.
He said yes when I asked him if he was
Yes.
Artemi Panarin, and
Yep.
he said, "Yep, he'll take a picture with me," and that was
That's
pretty
cool.
much it. Vincent Trocheck was like, "Yeah, it was," because we were like, "Oh, that was a great win tonight against the Panthers, a shootout win." Blah blah blah. He was like, "Oh, you're a Ranger fan?" I was like, "Absolutely, I'm a Ranger fan." I
Yeah,
was like,
see.
"I wouldn't have
Oh,
known who the hell you guys were if I wasn't." So
that's amazing.
they were pretty cool, but I wish they had gotten there earlier, because maybe we could have had them sticking around a little bit longer. But I don't even know where
Yeah.
they ended up going to eat because, like I said, all the bars up there pretty much shut down their kitchens at like 1 o'clock
I
in the
think
morning.
there's like Mario's Pizza, or maybe they went and got pizza
Yeah,
at
the pizza
Sunshine in
joints down
there.
the street, yeah,
Yeah.
Nicky's and Mario's,
Yep.
and they get the Walters hot dogs across the street. But I don't think they were looking to eat that. So
Yeah. No, no, no.
that was pretty cool, though.
That is pretty cool. So let's get
So
back on schedule
yeah,
here, but I just want to give you a quick plug, man. That was pretty sick.
yeah. So we got the Flyers on tomorrow night. We're in Colorado, in Phoenix, and then come home against,
Colorado's a tough game.
of course.
That's not we're not going to win that game.
Well,
I mean,
how many times have we said that this year, and the Rangers turn around
I
and
think it's going
prove
to
us
be an
wrong?
altitude. It's going to be an altitude game on the road with you're going to have to run around with McKinnon. They're going to be fired up. Shesterkin's going to have to be outstanding and stand on his head. That's a tough one. Going out to play out in the altitude, like, that's a tough one. This Flyers game is going to be a trap game. The Rangers have an extra day off. They have some defensemen. Flyers are going to be, Tortorella is going to have these guys fired up. So I can see the Rangers having a tight game, but the Rangers, I think, are going to find a way to win it. Avalanche, that's a tough ask, going out there and winning. We'll see what happens. Coyotes after that. So, I think there's a lot of Ranger fans that are going to be out in Arizona. So I think the Rangers are going to handle the Coyotes, and they're not a strong team. You come back from some home cooking, Penguins, Devils. I think the Rangers will be fired up. They can kind of see the finish line. Red Wings on the road, they're going to be scrappy. They're going to be a little bit tough. Montreal. Then the Islanders, Flyers, Islanders, Senators to finish the year. So I think the Rangers, once the Rangers get past, I think this Thursday game against the Avalanche, they're going to see the finish line because their schedule is not demanding. I mean, if you think about it, Coyotes, Pens, Devils, Canadians, Wings, Islanders, Flyers, Sens, Islanders. That's not what the Rangers just played their toughest stretch. Winnipeg, Boston, Florida. They just went through it.
If you
Tampa
really
Bay,
look at
Toronto.
every team on the schedule right now, with the exception of the Canadians and the Senators, are all fighting for a playoff spot. Every
Yep.
single one of them. Penguins, the Devils, the Islanders, the Flyers.
Yeah,
You
but I'm
know,
talking about like the level of competition they are. The Rangers have
no, I know. I
really,
totally
yeah,
understand that, but I'm just saying
yeah,
these guys are going to be playing their hearts out because they're looking to
yeah.
make a playoff spot.
So
So
don't take
then
it lightly, but the Rangers,
exactly.
they just played the Canes, Lightning, Pens, Islanders, Jets, Bruins, Panthers. I mean, that was a tough stretch.
Mhm.
And the Rangers did very well in that stretch. But this Flyers game, I think there's going to be some nerves there with this new defenseman. I don't know how you're going to do the pairings. I mean, you're going to have essentially a
Scanlon
fill-in.
is supposedly, according to the report, Scanlon is going to be partnered up with Ruweidel.
That's a tough
So he's
pair.
going to be the third. He's going to be a third line defenseman,
Okay.
playing with a guy who just got called up. He was a healthy scratch for all that
Chad
time.
Ruedel.
Yep.
So it's going to be Schneider and Miller probably getting a ton of.
Schneider and Miller are going to be a first pair. Fox and Zach Jones are going to be his second pair.
Zach Jones, I've been impressed with him. We'll talk about we're not talking about the end of the season yet, but Zach Jones may be playing himself onto the roster next year, and Ryan Lindgren is a guy you love. But do you with the contract, he's a free agent. I mean, so there's a lot of decisions Rangers will have to make with the cap and with everybody, and to make sure the roster. We'll get there when we get there. But yeah, I mean, I think let's get past Philly. They're going to be fired up. Tough game against Colorado, shorthanded like this, altitude. You got Ruedel. He's not fast. These guys can't be that fast. So that's going to be a tough ask. But the Rangers do have the remaining 1, 2, 3, maybe 8, 9 games. These are games that the Rangers will be favored in all the games. Even if they're on the road, they will be favored to win. So, I think the Rangers they're not going to coast. I think the Rangers are going to, but I think the Rangers are going to be in position where they should be winning most of these games and not having to really sweat it out like a Tampa or a Boston or a Florida or Winnipeg, any of these. So I think the end of the season schedule is favorable, and I'll use that word mildly.
So let's take a look at the Carolina Hurricanes schedule. So they're at the Penguins Tuesday night, home against the Red Wings, at Montreal, home against the Bruins, home against the Capitals, home against the Blue Jackets, at Boston, at St. Louis, at Chicago, at Columbus. So they end their season with 4 straight games on a road.
Yep. And they play Boston twice.
Yep.
And they play the Capitals once. The Capitals are trying to gain ground to get into the playoffs. I think right now they're wild card 2. They let go of Mantha. They let go of, Backstrom's not there anymore. I mean, they don't have a lot of guys. Their leading scorer, I think, has
somehow, some way they're finding ways to win.
Yeah, and I think Ryan Lindgren's brother is their goalie too, which is
yep,
which is
you're correct. Yep.
So, schedule for Carolina, you can argue, is a little bit tougher, just because I got Boston twice. But the Blackhawks and Jackets, but being on the road is an equalizer. So you don't think they're going to win all those 4 road games. That's tough to win 4 on a road. Blues are going to be scrappy. Blackhawks, I mean, they should win, but they got Bedard, and who knows. It's going to be a fight to the finish. It's going to be.
No doubt about it.
It's like every year.
Carolina is not going away. Carolina is just not.
They are not going away. As good as the Rangers have been, the feel-good story, the new coach, MVP performance by Panarin, Shesterkin's back. I mean, we're resilient, best record in the league. Carolina's right there. They're literally. It's not like we're 10 points ahead. You would think, the way that we're playing, we should be 10 points ahead. No, they're 1 point behind.
Well,
but
the Rangers did build. What was it? An 8-point lead at one time earlier on in the season. I think it was at least 8 points. But they weren't able to sustain that 8 points. They just weren't able to do it. They went on that long winning streak, and then they played 500 hockey for a bit there.
We saw that coming, I think. Yeah, we kind of knew that pace was going to run its course. We had that stretch, and last year it happened in the beginning of the season where we kind of had that long stretch where it was like we were 10 and 11. I can't listen, the way that this team has responded, because before the All-Star break, the Rangers were reeling a little bit. I think we won the game before the All-Star break, and since then, I think we're 17-4. I mean, we're one of the best teams in the league.
4-1.
Yeah, it's just, and you're still only 1 point ahead. It's almost hard to believe, but Carolina is a hell of a team. They're going to be a tough out. I think the one thing that we have on them is we've had their number a little bit in these playoff games. In the regular season, we've found ways to beat them. I think our goaltending has a slight edge, but they're just tough out. They're going to wear you down. So we're going to need to be fast, and let's get there first. We definitely need to get healthy. I mean, that is a concern for me right now because as much as I'd love to play, if we go 3-3 the next 6 games, am I going to be surprised? I mean, it's been so good for so long. I mean, eventually, you're going to run into a bit of a tough stretch here. The Colorado game is going to be a tough ask. Flyers are going to play us tough. And then that we'll have our spots. We'll have some games, but I think we're going to be in control. But missing these 3 defensemen, and Gustafson's played well this year. Gustafson has been on the first pair when the other guys are injured. So Gustafson's capable of playing more minutes. Trouba is obviously your leader, the physical presence we know. And then Lindgren, I mean, he's the perfect partner for Adam Fox. He gets into fights, he scraps, he takes pucks to the face, does the ugly, dirty work, clears the front of the net, moves the puck. So a little bit of concern. And I want the Rangers to just kind of relax a little bit, get this day off, and then be ready to fucking go tomorrow because
there's no fucking time to relax, bro.
The
season is going to go down to the wire. It's going to go to the last game of the season.
Yeah.
And I think the last game of the season is going to determine who wins his division and who the number one seed is.
I don't want him to get tight. The relax is a bad word. I don't want him to get tight and nervous about just
That's
go out,
much better.
Execute. Yeah, thank you. Execute the game plan. Play good defense. Shesterkin, I think we need a big effort from Shesterkin. He's going to have to play the best hockey of the season now to the end to make sure that we can get through these injuries. I think that's a big part of it.
Well, we need big play out of these 3 guys that are going to be taking over for the top 3 defensemen on his team in Zach Jones and Rue Idle and now, what's his kid's name? Scanlon. Coming up for tomorrow's game. They need to hold the fort down at least until these guys are back. Lindgren, it seems as though he's going to be back very soon, hopefully sooner rather than later. Hopefully Gustafsson isn't going to be out too long. He'll be back in the lineup soon. We need these guys healthy. And
what about Trouba? What's going on with him? Timeline?
Trouba, he started to skate from what I'm hearing, but he's red-shirted and can't play with any contact. Okay, so he's pretty much skating on his own.
Okay, so he may not be. He's lower body too, right?
Right.
Okay, so
we'll see.
He may we don't know. With Trouba might be worse than we think. Lindgren is much better than we think. I think we can all agree.
Right.
And Gustafson is, maintenance day to day. He'll be back.
We
probably.
Can only hope.
Yeah, but Trouba worries me. I mean, it sounds like he may not be back for a little bit. Hopefully he can get a couple.
The original diagnosis was 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, he's out for the year probably.
He's probably going to be out until the beginning of the playoffs, I think.
Yeah. And if that's what we need to do to make sure he's ready, we're gonna, Laviolette, and they're gonna have to make that call. And obviously, we never know anything about injuries. It's football; every detail.
This is the one thing that sucks about the NHL. I don't know what the big secret is. Lower body injury, upper body injury. Why don't you just say what the hell it is? I don't understand this. Why? What's the big secret?
A broken toe or a swollen testicle. You don't know what it is. Anything below. You can't tell. Knee, ankle, foot, upper body. It could be a concussion, or it could be like a clavicle. It could be an elbow. And that's it. And that's the NHL players they're okay with that report. And that's good. That messes up betting as well if they're day to day with these things. I'm wondering if they'll ever change that. Because people are starting to bet on hockey. I don't bet too much on hockey, but it's kind of tough to bet on. But
I haven't put a bet in quite a while.
Did okay with football. Won some Super Bowl squares. I'll throw some wagers.
I can do very well in football, but any other sport, hockey, baseball, can't do it.
Baseball's hard. Hockey, it's tough because you could take the puck line, which is over a goal and a half, or you really just got to take an underdog that you're confident in, and then you can win a good amount. That's kind of the play with hockey, because then anything can happen in hockey. Like the Coyotes could beat the Bruins like on a one-off game. You can win a couple, that way. But
before we go, we should bring up Peter Laviolette. I think 100%. he's been tremendously good this season as the head coach of the New York Rangers. Me and you had, our differences as far as whether we liked him or not when he was first hired at the beginning of the season. I didn't think it was the guy I wanted, but he's I've completely changed my mind on this guy. He's been tremendously good. He's been a good leader for this team. He's made the right decisions. He's made some good moves. He's gotten his team prepared night in and night out. It's been tremendously good. It's a breath of fresh air after what we've seen the last few years with with the other coaches that have been here and run this club, and we saw a couple of seasons ago the numerous amount of changes to the lineup every single day, every single night. It was just so frustrating to watch, but it's been great to watch a coach more than more than more than any other coach ever has pretty much stood his ground and stayed with his lineup. I mean, he's tinkered with that every so often when he needs to. That's fine. I can deal with that. But changing the lineup on a consistent basis, night in and night out, was so frustrating to watch, and it's just a breath of fresh air. What do you think of Peter Laviolette?
I think he's gotten the most out of Alexis Lafreniere by far than any coach the Rangers have had. Whether that's Quinney or Gallant. I think Gallant was a players coach that people liked, but he didn't hold the Rangers leadership accountable enough. Sometimes you have on teams players that, like a Michael Jordan, for example, or someone like that they run the show, and the coach doesn't really have to do that because those star players, kind of run the team and make sure they're accountable. I just don't think the Rangers have a lot of those guys. I think they have a lot of jovial, very very funny, charismatic guys that love the game and want to play. But when it comes down to crunch time, the Mikas and the Kreiders and the Panarins, and they do really well with more stern structure and more accountability. And I think Trouba it does that really well as well. So I think Laviolette's a really good mix. He has the pedigree to prove it. He's taken 3 teams to the Cup final, 1-1. He's been a success really everywhere he's gone. A couple of stops here and there, maybe not, but he's taken teams with talent and he's gotten them very far. So I think he commands the room. I think the Ranger fans really respect him. He's gotten the most out of our young players. Even Capo Caco, he's established a role for him that he's been good in. He didn't excel at the top wing. He gave him a chance, but he said, you know what? I'm not going to sit you. I'm going to play you. We're going to get you minutes. And Caco is a guy that's been a reliable third line player for us. He's believed in Miller all year. A lot of fans have gotten on Miller. He's kept faith in Keandre Miller. He's kept faith in Schneider all year. When Adam Fox was out, he had to mix people up. And right now he's doing the same thing. He's getting the most out of his guys. Zach Jones, who last year was, he played a few games, wasn't that impactful. And now you noticed how he's moving the puck with a lot more confidence. So I think Laviolette he's holding the veterans accountable, and he's getting the young guys like Cooley and Rempe and a lot of these guys to play with confidence and believe. So love what Laviolette has done.
Well, he's definitely putting a lot of trust in these young guys.
Yeah.
Something that coaches in the past did not.
Right.
But it's good to see because, quite honestly, with the roster going into the season the way it was, I think Jury did the right moves, made the right moves during the course of the offseason to get the right personnel in here for Peter Laviolette's system. Listen, every player on his team has a role, and every player on his team who's been given a role has to buy in that role, has to buy into it, and for the most part, they've bought into it, and the entire team has bought into Laviolette's system. And it's working. And you got to give credit to the head coach for, being able to work what he's got. Now, Jury went out and improved this roster a bit, at the trade deadline. And I think the team is better now than it was prior to the trade deadline, without a doubt. I think Wenberg is definitely a good, steady third line center that the Rangers really needed. Hedl is not going to be here this year. That's unfortunate. Whether or not the Rangers still go out and make that deal, maybe not. Maybe they do, they upgrade somewhere else. But the fact of the matter is that Drury has been masterful at times with what he's done with this roster and how he's upgraded this roster and how he's gotten rid of players that he doesn't see a good fit for. And quite honestly, it's a great job on his part, a great
Yeah.
job by Laviolette, and it's the reason why the Rangers are so successful this year, leading the league in points
He's done
and
a
leading
great
the league
job,
with
Drury.
47 wins.
He's done a great job, Drury. Signing Gustafson this year, for nothing, was great. The Wheeler signing didn't work out, and his injury was tough to see, but I think it's working out for the better. If you could say that, politely. But I think he believed in Capo Caco. Didn't trade him at the deadline. He didn't trade a number 1 pick last year. We got a stud, Gabe Perreault at Boston College, who's going to be a great player. He didn't get rid of Othman. He believes in Lafreniere. He brings up Will Cooley. He seems to have faith in the players as well that are buying into the team, and he doesn't try to give away everybody just to get a quick fix. I think last year he caved in a little pressure from Dolan. I think Dolan was crying, and I think he had to throw him a bone. And I think he went back to his roots of, okay, the Vetranos and the Cops, we're going to do this my way again. We're going to fill the roster the way I see fit and not just go after stars because you want to. He's done a great job. Bringing in Jonathan Quick was a great job. He noticed that, he's familiar with Quick. They, both grew up in Connecticut, so they know each other well. And John Quick, I think he was out west and he wanted to find a home as a backup, and he was rejuvenated. He came in shape, ready to go, and he was a very, very important part for our team when Igor was struggling. So you got to give him credit for that. And the icing on the cake, the best signing was Vinny Trocheck. Everybody was up in arms. How can you get rid of Strome? Or, what are we going to do? Vincent Trocheck's a grinding center. Well, look what he's done. He's playing the best hockey of his career. He does things that Strome can't do in terms of being gritty. He can win every faceoff that we need. So Drury has seen every metric, improved every single metric. He's kept guys that he thinks can have upside and stay. He's brought in guys he's needed, hasn't given away everybody. Hats off to Chris Drury. He's doing a hell of a job.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's because of the leadership at the top that the Rangers are heading in the right direction. We saw quite a few years of this team struggling and not winning, and between Glenn Sather and everybody else that came and tried to run this organization. I think Chris Drury, I gotta agree with you. He's definitely done a phenomenal job running this team and putting them on the path to possibly winning a Stanley Cup. Hopefully this year, if not, definitely next year.
We're not going to be the ones to say we're going to do it, but I think we're going to be one of the teams that has a chance. That's really all you can ask for, because there's a lot of good teams in this league. But you know what? As many great teams as there are in the West, there's only one that comes out. And there's a lot of great teams in the East, but only one's going to make it. So,
yeah, you brought up Jonathan Quick, and we should congratulate him on tying the all-time record for wins for an American-born player, because he just tied Ryan Miller for that stat. So congratulations to him. That was a great accomplishment for him. Being an American-born, player, goaltender, and racking up the stats that he has throughout his career. Good for him.
Yeah, well, when he played with us for a few Pee Wee hockey tournaments, we won the championship there too, up in Bridgeport. So he was a wall back then. He's always been. He's just a great athlete, and he loves being here. We signed him next year too. I think Drury. What I like about Drury too is that he'll notice players play with the Ranger spirit, with that energy. He signed Brzezinski to another year. He signed VC to a 2-year. So he's rewarding players for good play during the season. That's another thing that I love about Drury, is that not a lot of GMs do that. They'll wait. What if he gets hurt? Maybe he's rewarding players who are playing above their potential, and that's just giving them more confidence to stay and be more fit into their role. So just kind of all the way around what he's been doing.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because Brandon Scanlon, the kid who's coming up to replace Gustafson in the lineup tomorrow, he just recently got a 2-year extension on his contract because of his, performance down at, up in Hartford.
Yep.
So, it just goes to show you that he's definitely going to reward players with new contracts, with contract extensions, if they buy into the system and play well and want to be here and show that they want to be here. And for the most part, a lot of these players do want to be here and they do want to win, and they're very proud of wearing that New York Rangers jersey.
Yep, and I think the future, we always say I think the window to win is a few years, because when you have Panarin and all these guys like under contract still, but the Rangers have a lot of good talent in the pipeline too, so there's a bright future ahead. And hey, it's crunch time, baby. We got 12 days, and or 12 more games. I say we get on one before the playoffs. We'll discuss these matchups here. And then we got to touch on the draft too as well. When's the draft? Giants.
Oh, April.
Oh, the Giants. It totally brought the mood down of the whole we're talking about the Rangers, how good things are. And then it's like, oh, yeah, we forgot the Giants.
There's so much smoke out there as far as the New York Giants are concerned right now. I don't even know what the hell they're going to do with that 6th overall pick. They're going to trade up. They're going to trade down. They're going to take a quarterback. They're going to take a wide receiver. I don't know what the fuck's going on over there. They're just blowing out a lot of smoke. They don't want anybody to know what they're doing.
I've disassociated myself from this offseason. I haven't looked at one piece of tape. I don't know shit.
Yeah, me either.
I got to get into that too. We'll get up on that later as well.
All right, Jamie. Thanks for coming on with me tonight, bro. Thanks for talking some New York Rangers with me. I appreciate it. We'll get together again soon, probably before the playoffs or just before the playoffs. We'll do a playoff preview, and we'll talk again then.
You bet.
Take care, Jamie. Thank you.
Bet.
Peace
Bye.
out. Let's go Rangers.